Krishna addressed Durga as Malini, means the keeper of flowers. Malini also refers to fragrance or the gardener of flowers. And since then, Durga came to be known as Malini there. Mahabharata describes about Arjuna's marriage with Chitrangada, the Manipuri princess, and also the Naga princess Ulupi. I happen to be a descendant of this union of Arjuna and Chitrangada. The Raja Tarangini describes about Raja Lalityaditya Muktapida attacking the northeastern part of the country then. Then he came across a kingdom that was where it was ruled by women. There were women, more of women all around. And this was called Stri Rajya or Pramilar Desh. And today's times we call it Meghalaya. Vande Mataram. My pranam to distinguished speakers and the audience. It is my privilege to be a part of the 20th year celebrations of Sri Sri Draupadi Mahotsav. Our academic history books describe very little about the connect of the northeastern states, cultural, social, geopolitical, etc., with the rest of the country. So in this session, I shall try to delve on the connect of the Northeast with the other kingdoms of ancient India, covering Treta, Dwapar, and Kali Yuga timelines. So let us not focus on the timelines, the dates, because the dates are distorted, though I have mentioned a few of the dates there based on Vedirarya's book and other references. But the events are all real. So this is during the Treta Yuga. Several Puranas describe the lineage, the life, and the achievements of Maharishi Parashurama. Chapter 16, as described in chapter 16 of the Bhagavat Purana, Rishi Shuka narrates to Kuru Raja Parikshit about Parashurama. Shuka was the son of Rishi Vedvyasa and Vatika, as mentioned in the Skand Puran. And Parikshit was the son of Arjuna and son of Uttara and Abhimanyu and grandson of Arjuna. So Parashurama comes back to his home, the hermitage of Jamadagni and Renuka, his parents, after a year of pilgrimage. And he was the youngest son, the fifth son of Jamadagni and Renuka. Renuka used to go to the Ganga to fetch waters for the Homa rituals that Jamadagni performed. One day, at the river, she saw Gandharva Raja Chittaratha sporting with the celestial nymphs there. She got distracted for some time, and for a moment, she longed for Chittaratha, but immediately came back to her senses. By the time she reached back to the hermitage with a pitcher of water, she was already late for the Homa rituals. Enraged, Jamadagni, who with his yogic powers could know about the mental lapse of Renuka, ordered his sons to behead Renuka. So all of his four of his sons refused, but Parashurama, he obeyed. So on the orders of Jamadagni, he beheaded his mother as well his four brothers. Elated, Jamadagni asked him to ask for a boon, asked Parashurama to ask for a boon. Parashurama requested him to restore his mother and brothers back to life and also asked him that they should forget about the episode. So his boon was granted. But because Parashurama committed a sin of killing his mother and his brothers, he could not get mental peace. So he moved from place to place to attain salvation. So at Parashurama Kund, which is located at the Brahmaputra plateau and the lower Lohit river in Arunachal Pradesh, so he, after bathing in the waters there, he felt relieved of his sins. So he attained salvation there. And from that time, that particular spot came to be known as Parashurama Kund. So millions of devotees visit there to take a bath in the waters of the lower Lohit river. And according to the Brahmanda Puran and several more scriptures, there is mention about Parashurama Kshetra being founded, being reclaimed by Maharishi Parshuram. And about the Parashurama Kund incident, it is not mentioned in any of the Puranas, but according to local traditions, according to the local legends, he came there during the Treta Yuga. So here we find Parashurama visiting almost the whole of the country, traveling across the whole of country. He also meditated in the Himalayas, and he visited Parashurama Kunda. He settled down in Parashurama Kshetra. So that's a geographical connect of Parashurama visiting all parts of the country. So this is during the time of the Ramayana, Treta Yuga. So there is a tribe, the Karbi tribe, who reside in Karbi Anglong and adjoining areas of Assam and also parts of the northeast. They consider themselves to be the descendants of a section of the Karbis. They consider themselves to be a descendant of Balmiki. And few of the Karbis, they associate themselves with Sugriva. And most of the sections of the Karbis, they trace their connection with Sri Ram, because they say that they assisted Ram by carrying his bows and arrows to Lanka when the battle took place between Sri Ram and Ravan in Lanka. So this is, they are in the Sabin Alun. Sabin Alun means the song of Ramayana composed by Sabin. Sabin was a contemporary of Kaviraj Madhava from the 14th century. And Kaviraja Madhava was the court poet of this Kachari king Mahamanikya. He translated the Ramayana, Mahabharata, and various more ancient Indian texts into Assamese. And the Sabin Alun, when it is sung non-stop for 3 continuous nights. This event took place during the Dwapar Yuga, during the Mahabharata period. So according to traditional historical legends of Arunachal Pradesh, Rukmini belonged to Bhishmak Nagar. This Bhishmak Nagar is located at the borders between Arunachal Pradesh and Assam. It is very near to Sadia of Assam. So Krishna came all the way from Dwarka to take Rukmini from Bhishmak Nagar. On the way back from Bhishmak Nagar to Dwarka, they rested at a place called what is known today as Malini Thaan. There, Durga and Shiva, it was the residence of Durga and Shiva. This Malini Thaan is located in Siang district of Arunachal Pradesh. So when Rukmini and Krishna arrived there, Durga welcomed them with flowers. And there was a carpet of flowers laid for the couple. Krishna addressed Durga as Malini, means the keeper of flowers. Malini also refers to fragrance, or the gardener of flowers. And since then, Durga came to be known as Malini there. And we have there, the remains of a 12th century temple is there. The Archaeological Survey of India, they excavated the remains of the temple. It is a huge temple complex. The foundations are still there and the remnants are kept under a shed. And the murti, the vigraha of Malini is still there, which dates back to the 12th century. Now the vigraha is shifted to a new temple built very near to the original shrine. So the Kalika Purana gives a very detailed description about the history of Assam, ancient history of Assam. So it is attributed to Markandeya Rishi that he compiled this Kalika Purana in Assam. But later there were more compilations and additions of more episodes by later compilers. The Kalika Purana gives a description about Narakasur, who laid the foundation of the Bhoma dynasty after dethroning Ghatakasur of the Danava dynasty. Because Narakasur ill-treated women and created chaos in ancient Assam, Krishna, along with Satyabhama, they came all the way from Dwarka, and a fierce battle took place between them, and ultimately Narakasur got slain. And Narakasur was, initially he was a very good ruler, but because he was a friend of Banasura, who was the king of Sonitpur. Sonitpur is located in present Tejpur of Assam. So under his companionship, he became a very bad ruler. And we have also the episode of Banasura in the Puranas. Banasura's daughter was Usha. She was very beautiful. Once she had a dream that she would be marrying a beautiful prince. And based on the dream, she asked the artist, Chitralekha, her artist Chitralekha, to draw a picture of the prince. That prince happened to be Aniruddha, the grandson of Krishna. So Usha, what she did, she got Aniruddha kidnapped from Dwarka and brought him to Sonitpur. And after that, a fierce battle took place between Banasura and Krishna, because Banasura wanted Aniruddha to stay in Sonitpur. He did not want Aniruddha to go back to Dwarka along with Usha. So that's the reason the battle took place. And later on, after he was defeated, the marriage ceremony happened, and Aniruddha took Usha to Dwarka. And then Mahabharata describes about Arjuna's marriage with Chitrangada, the Manipuri princess, and also the Naga princess Ulupi. I happen to be a descendant of this union of Arjuna and Chitrangada. And our ancestor, our Kuldevta is Apokpa. Apokpa is the 6th generation from Babrubahana, the son of Arjuna and Chitrangada. And it is the complete episode, the lineage is described in detail in the Kumal Purana. So we worship, we keep Apokpa in the granary in the village, and those who do not have the granary, we create a special sacred space, and there we worship him. So again, this is Kali Yuga. So we all have read and heard about the Swayamvara ceremonies of Nala Damayanti, Pandu and Kunti, Draupadi and Arjuna. So there is this Swayamvara ceremony that took place in 12 CE. So the dates may be before that, but not after 12 CE. So there is this king of Assam who held a Swayamvara ceremony. The king was from Balavarman. He was from the Burman dynasty, a descendant of Narakasura. So he held a Swayamvara ceremony for his daughter Amrita Prabha. So princes from across the whole of Airabrat were invited. And Balavarman, he owned a parasol, that is like an umbrella. And Narakasur, rain god Varuna gifted this parasol to his ancestor Narakasur. And since then, that parasol remained with the Burman dynasty for many, many centuries. So he used this parasol to get the Swayamvara marriage ceremony done for his daughter. So the king announced that because the parasol emanated emanated a very cooling effect when held over the head of an influential person. So the king announced that when the parasol would emit the cooling effect when held over the prince assembled here, then that prince will be married to his daughter. So the rituals took place. The Amrita Prabha's friends, women friends, they held the parasol over the head of one prince after another. And ultimately, when they held the parasol over Megha Bahana, it emitted a very cooling effect. But Megha Bahana, at that time, he did not have a kingdom. He was a prince, but in name only. His father, Gopaditya, took refuge at the court of the king of Gandhara, because his ancestor from the Gonanda dynasty, Yudhishthira I, he was dethroned, and Pratapaditya, who started another dynasty, he became the king. And after Pratapaditya, 192 kings ruled Kashmir. And Megha Bahana was born in Gandhara. So when the king realized that this prince has no kingdom, then he was very hesitant that his daughter should marry Megha Bahana. But as the announcement was already done, and Megha Bahana said that maybe in the future he will be a very powerful ruler. So the marriage ceremony was done. Because the prince did not have a home, the king gave a lot of gifts and presents to the prince. And the prince came to Gandhara along with the princess, along with his wife. And coincidentally, a few months after that, the ministers from Kashmir, they came in search of, when they heard about Megha Bahana, the descendant from the Gonanda dynasty, they were looking for him. They wanted to restore him back to the throne of Kashmir. And just within a few months, he was restored to the throne. He became the king of Kashmir. And he emerged as a very powerful ruler. So there is, according to the Archaeological Survey of India, they discovered a place called Amrita Bhavana. It was a temple built by Amrita Prabha, and the remains have been found there. It is at a place called Banta Bhavan, not very far from Srinagar. Now I'm going to describe about the political relations between Bhaskara Varman of Assam and Harsha Vardhana of Kanauj. Harsha Vardhana from the Pushyavati dynasty. Pushyavati dynasty is also called the Vardhana dynasty. So during those early medieval times, Nalanda University and many other universities of India attracted foreign students. So Hiuen-tsang came and studied in Nalanda University twice. So during those times, because most of the kings across the country, they held debates and discussions in their courts. So they used to not only invite scholars from across the country, but also foreign scholars. But to invite foreign scholars, they needed to take the permission of the university authority. So Harshavardhana, he invited Hiuen-tsang to his court through the university. So he stayed at Hiuen-tsang's court for some time. And when Bhaskara Varman of Assam, he came to know about Hiuen-tsang, being a very knowledgeable scholar, he sent a letter to the authority of Nalanda University. He was Silabhadra. The first letter got rejected. He again sent a second letter, and the second letter got rejected too. He again then sent a third letter. This time he wrote very strictly that he wanted Hiuen-tsang to his court. Then Silabhadra sent Hiuen-tsang to Assam because at that time Harshavardhana was on a military expedition. And so as the king was not there at the court, Silabhadra thought it wise to send Hiuen-tsang to Assam. It was almost a month. Hiuen-tsang spent almost a month in Assam when Harshavardhana came back from his military expeditions. And when he did not see Hiuen-tsang, he got very enraged. He sent a letter to the king of Assam, Bhaskara Varman, that Hiuen-tsang be sent back to his court immediately. Then Bhaskara Varman replied that he would rather send his head instead of sending the scholar. Then he sent a messenger that he wanted his head. At this, Harshavardhana, Bhaskaravarman got very enraged, and he set out with a huge army to attack Kanauj. So 20,000 elephants and 30,000 boats. He came via Goda, that is it is located in present Bengal. Goda was part of the territory of Bhaskaravarman during that time. And the war boats came via Brahmaputra and then the Ganga to Kanauj. So when he was about to enter the territory of Kanauj, Harshavardhana, he welcomed him instead of having a battle against him. And then the friendly relationship started between the two. So now that he had come along with a huge army and war boats, Harshavardhana thought of organizing a conclave, religious conclave. So first the conclave was held at Kanauj. It went on for several days. Then the conclave was held at Prayaga. At Prayaga, the conclave was held it went on for 75 days. And scholars and kings from 18 kingdoms were invited. And there were camps set up on the banks of the rivers. And then there is, because now he has these war boats and his army, so there was a procession, military procession, before the commencement of the conclave at Prayaga. And at this procession, military procession, both Harshavardhana and Bhaskaravarman, they exhibited their military strength. So there are various copper plates have been discovered. So Dubi copper plates describe about Bhaskaravarman as a very learned person. He was very well versed in the Shastras. And he invited scholars from various parts of the country holding debates in his court. And why he invited Huinsung to his court? Because he wanted to read the Chinese classics in Sanskrit. So he asked Huinsung to translate the Chinese classics to Sanskrit, but we don't have any evidence of this translated texts. So this is debate of Adi Shankaracharya with Abhinava Gupta of Assam. So there are two Abhinava Guptas, one from Kashmir and one from Assam. The first one was from Assam. And the second Abhinava Gupta from Kashmir, he was very well versed in all the scriptures. And he had gurus from all the Sanatana traditions there. Then Vaishnavism, Shaivism, Shaktism, Jainism, Buddhism, he had gurus from all the traditions. So Abhinava Gupta of Assam was very renowned for his scholarly attributes. So Shankaracharya came to Assam, then he held a debate with Abhinava Gupta. Shankaracharya won. Shankaracharya held debates with almost all the scholars from across the country, and he emerged winner. And during those times, because he held debates with scholars, whoever scholar lost became a disciple of the winner. So that Guru Shishya Parampara was there among scholars as well during those times. So both this Abhinava Gupta of Assam became a disciple of Adi Shankaracharya. So there is, the Raja Tarangini describes about Raja Lalitaditya Muktapida attacking the northeastern part of the country then. Then he came across a kingdom that was where it was ruled by women. There were women, more of women all around. And this was called Stri Rajya or Pramilar Desh. And today's times we call it Meghalaya. So the birth of a girl is considered very auspicious there. The youngest girl in the family, she gets all the property. Then in the 16th century, Vaishnavite Guru, Srimanta Sankardev, held debates with scholars invited from Benares and the rest of the country. And the debates were held at the court of the Koch king Naranarayana of Koch Bihar. Today Koch Bihar is in Bengal. That was part of Assam during those times, at least in the 16th century. I'll just pick up one warrior, Ahom warrior Mula Gabaru. So this battle took place in between 1532 to 1533 at Kachua, near Nogao in Assam, between the Bengal Sultanate forces and the Ahoms. At the initial battle, the Ahoms lost. So the Ahom forces were commanded by Frasingmung Borgohain. And he attained Virgati in the battlefield. When his wife Mulagabaru came to know about it and about the Assamese forces moving out of the battlefield, getting demotivated because the commander was killed, Mulagabaru, who was not at all trained in the art of warfare, she rode a horse and with a sword in her hand, she entered into the enemy line. And seeing the lady having so much of energy and ready to fight the enemies, the demotivated Assamese soldiers, they again came back to the battlefield and started fighting. Mulagabaru, before attaining Virgati, she killed 2 lieutenants and hundreds of the enemy soldiers. And later, because of her, the Ahoms won this battle. So there is a very interesting history about the Ahoms here. We all know about Suryavanshi and Chandravanshi. The Ahoms are called Indravanshi because they consider themselves to be the descendants of Indra. He is known as Langdon. In Ahom traditions, he is known as Langdon. And the Ahoms use the title Swarga Narayan or Swargadeo because Swargadeo was the son of Indra. And all the Ahom kings use this title. And Sukapa was the first Ahom king. So these events are only, these events about the Northeast covering various timelines are only a tip of the iceberg. So let us all explore in individual and collective capacities to know about our glorious past and bask in the glory of our ancient civilization, the oldest surviving civilization in the world. Thank you.